Welcome to Her Mic Her Rules. I'm your girl, Lady Z. This is where urban voices meet elevated conversations. I spotlight creators, entrepreneurs, culture without the chaos. If you're part of that elevated circle, you're exactly where you belong. And tonight I'm sitting here with a rock star. Her name is Soarer, all the way from Australia. So let's give it up for Soarer.
Hi. Thank
Hi.
you, Lady G. Lovely
Hi.
to be here.
Yes, how you doing today?
I'm really good. The sun's shining through my window. It looks like it's going to be a beautiful day, blue skies. Nothing to
Yes.
complain about.
Okay. What's the temperature out there?
I don't know in Fahrenheit.
Oh, yeah.
I would
Over
say it's
here it's
like
like in the
20 something
60s.
degrees in Celsius, but I
Oh,
can't
okay.
remember the conversions.
Yeah, that's okay.
Maybe whoever's watching can do a little Google and
Mhm.
clarify for us.
Yeah,
Around
so
20 degrees.
yeah, so I didn't know we was 15 hours away. I know we was trying to get
15 hours.
we 15 hours away. Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Yeah. So
crazy.
I know we was trying to figure it out. All right, what time we gonna meet
Yeah.
and stuff.
I mean, I'm in the future, so if you want an insight to what happens in the next 15 hours, let me know. I can get you
Yeah,
lotto
right.
ticket information.
Yeah, so it's nice to have you. Thank you for reaching out and, coming to my platform. So we're gonna get right into, your music career, exactly what you do and everything like that. So growing up in Melbourne, how did your environment shape your music as an artist identity?
So I actually was born in Perth. For those of you who don't know, is on the opposite side of Australia on the west coast,
Mhm.
would be equivalent to like California in terms of like American geography.
Oh.
And I was actually like homeschooled. So I grew up in a big family and I was always really creative as a young child and started writing poetry. I think that's when my creativity began at 14 years old. And so when I moved to Melbourne in my adult years, in my early 20s, I was really inspired by seeing the music scene. It's very vibrant in Melbourne. Like a lot of Australian artists aren't often recognized outside of Australia, but there is a lot of talent here and it's very multicultural in Melbourne as well, not too dissimilar from New York. So I think my environment and all the different cultures here and just seeing the music scene really inspired me to finally start making music.
Yeah. All right. So you say you started at the age of 14, right?
Yeah, that's when I started writing poetry, just to
Okay.
help me like understand my emotions. I think as a teenager, we all went through those phases where we're like, what are these big emotions
Yeah.
and processing things. And so I found it really healing. And I found that a lot of the time, art in any form often can sort of tell you more about yourself. Like when you look back at it, it's like maybe your unconscious mind, your subconscious, and what you're dealing with. You can sort of reflect back and go, okay, like this is, I don't know, it helps me process. It's almost like therapy.
Okay. Yeah, because I know poetry and singing, they unite together. So
Mm.
when did you first realize that you had a voice?
My whole family, we love singing just around the house, like
Mhm.
doing silly skits. And, when you're in a big family, you're often like just being silly with each other and singing all the time. So I loved singing from a young age, but I think I wasn't until I was about maybe in my early 20s where I finally started to take it seriously and realize like this is something I'm passionate about. And I started reaching out to like just other creatives and producers that were also in the beginning of their creative career. And I collaborated with someone that was from Colombia that was just in Australia temporarily and made my first song with him.
Oh, wow, nice. All right. What was the name of the song?
It was called Dreamboat. It was my first ever song, and I remember I was really shy. I was singing really quietly. He had to have the gain up on the mic a little bit higher than normal because I was
Oh,
always whispering it. And
yeah.
to look back on my first song to now, it's
Mhm.
crazy to see just the improvement, mostly in just the confidence. I think obviously my vocals have improved in my skills, but I think the confidence is the key of like you can really believe someone in their music.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So you had to like build your confidence up, right? Because around that age, you were still shy.
Yeah, and I think it's also just being in a in a position that you've never been in before. Like I never really sung. I think it's even more scary when it's just one on one because it just feels so much more intimate and you feel like all eyes are on just you. So yeah, definitely I think you know that feeling when like, oh, am I in the right? I'm not gonna be taken seriously because I don't have, you know, I've never done this before.
Mhm.
But after time you realize that when you have a skill or a talent, it doesn't really matter how perfect you are at the beginning. It just matters that you just do it. You know, even if it's difficult or uncomfortable at first, and people will recognize your potential. I did film photography as well. I began just buying secondhand film cameras from the thrift stores, and my first subject was homeless people. I used to take photographs of them and interview them and ask how they got in their position, and just really understood that this can happen to anyone, you know.
Mhm.
Literally anyone can be put in that position. Just one thing in life can just completely change someone's position. So I really made me want to connect with the community more and just humanize people a little bit more. And I think that film photography was a beautiful way to encapsulate that.
So you worked across genres like EDM, techno, bedroom pop, and trap. How do you decide which sound best fits a feeling?
Oh, I think it's a good question. Um, for me, I think if I'm feeling some type of way, I'll like listen to other artists that inspire me and sort of think about what genre they're um sort of portraying and usually get inspiration from them and reach out to my friends that are producers and ask them if they had any beats that were similar or even just practice, I think. And this is a really good sort of advice I have for anyone starting out is that just going on YouTube and looking at type beats and just practice your freestyling or just get used to, you know, what your flow is. And it doesn't have to be really necessarily recorded. Obviously, it's helpful to have that because you can look back on it. But yeah, having just a lot of practice in building up your confidence and finding your flow and your style.
Album 2022, Unbodied. And what did that project represent for you at that time?
So I think that it was initially inspired by this idea that people have the front that they have to put on for the world, and then the people that are around them that are close to them maybe see when you drop down your mask and you can really truly be yourself. And so I really wanted to basically most of it is a story. If you listen through all the lyrics of my songs in that album, was just about breaking down the mask or you know our egos and really seeing people for who they are at their core and their souls. And so it was just me expressing myself as it was an invitation. I think the first track on the album is actually a guided meditation into just being in that space of like the spiritual space rather than getting caught up in the things going on in the world and just really seeing each other as, you know, souls, humans. So that was like the whole inspiration for that album.
Oh, okay. All right. So with Mirrors in My Bedroom 2025, you explored a solitude and reflection. How did your mindset shift between these two albums?
So I wouldn't say they're too dissimilar in that regard, but this next album was definitely more about realizing that the people around me or the challenges I face are often reflections of things that I needed to accept about myself. So, you know, often in life we meet people that like you just keep having the same type of people come in. Maybe they're like might have some type of like boundary issues or negative energy or things that just irk you about them. And I started to reflect on like, oh, how am I inviting these kind of people or allowing these kind of people into my life? And what lesson do I need to learn that I'm not learning? Because obviously God keeps sending me these situations until it's like, okay, you got to figure out what I'm trying to teach you, you know?
Mhm.
So it was mostly around that, you know, about reflecting on the things that you need to change about yourself or love about yourself or accept about yourself.
Mhm. Okay. So you said about reflecting on yourself, right? Because I know sometimes we do tend to have the same people over and over in our lives, and we don't know why this keep happening. Like we keep attracting the wrong people.
Yeah.
Why do you think that happens?
I think that often it's a lesson to be learned about either our boundaries, because you might just keep attracting people that are takers and not givers, and you might be a giver. And there's nothing wrong with being a giver. I think it's an amazing thing to have. But if you don't have boundaries, you're just gonna, it's like a moth to flames. They're gonna be like, oh, I can see this person will literally let me take as much as I want from them. And until you decide who is worth taking your energy from you, you're
Mhm.
gonna keep having those people there because you don't have the skills to say no or to, say, oh, this is how much I'm going to allow my energy to be taken. Not only that, but just you know, I think a perfect example would be actually from when I was younger. My mum told me there's certain people in your life that are going to be your grace growers, and that definitely teaches you the skill to be humble or how to take certain criticism or not let other people's actions affect you. And sometimes I think also those people come into your life to teach you how to respond and not react. Definitely.
Yeah, because sometimes like people they like to take advantage of other people. There's givers, like you said, there's nothing wrong with giving, because it says you're happier more giving than receiving, right? But
Mm,
we still have to be careful, who we bring into our lives because they could take advantage.
100%, yeah. And then you're also denying the people that deserve your energy, I think, and you have to remind yourself of that as well. And if your cup is empty, you can't be giving any more anyway. So you need to
Yeah.
have a space where you're able to refill, and whether or not be with art or family or your friends or, culture, whatever that may be, it's so important to protect yourself so that you are able to keep giving. Otherwise, you're just going to be drained and resentful and
Yeah.
start to be a bit grumpy around the people that actually care about you.
Yeah, yeah. That's why, we always have to protect ourselves. It don't matter who it is around us. It could be a family, friends, anybody.
100%, yeah.
Yeah. So the new album feels like a conversation with the self. Were there
Mm.
any songs that were especially difficult or revealing to create?
Hmm. I think most songs, like if I listen back, I'm like, oh gosh, if people really listen to the lyrics, this is really personal. It's like putting my diary out there,
Mhm.
because it's freestyle, so it's just flowing out of me. But, oh, that's an interesting question. Let me think. I mean, there are a couple songs on there that I would say quite, you know, difficult, maybe one of the first songs. But I would also say the song Snow, I think was really important to me because it's about just what it's like to be a woman and how dangerous it is to be a woman in this world, and like with men being like one of the leading reasons that most of us are killed. So
Wow.
it's like, there's a really high rate of violence and stuff. Just, obviously I've worked the in social working roles and dealt with some really violent people and hear different stories. And I I don't have judgment on how people end up like that, but I think there's a real conversation to be had about, what it's like to be a woman, and um just even like walking out at nighttime, or having to be extra cautious even though you know that certain people might not harm you. You just never know. So I
Yeah.
think that was difficult because it's obviously not everyone's going to accept or want to hear or talk about that conversation because it's not obviously comfortable or happy or yeah digestible.
Yeah, that's why, every time you come out your house, you always gotta watch your back.
Mm.
You don't know who's gonna be behind us, in front of us. Like I visited Vegas in October. I almost got kidnapped.
Oh my gosh, really?
Yes. Yep. Because in Vegas, you've been to New York, right?
Yes.
So when you come to New York, the cab, they pick you up and drop you off right where you live, right? But in Vegas, I don't know if you ever been to Vegas. In Vegas,
Yeah.
you have to catch a cab like 5 blocks from where you
Yeah, because there's
are.
all the walking strips and stuff. It's
Yeah.
really difficult to get places
So
there.
my cab was in a parking lot and I saw a cab. I was like, "Listen, I'm trying to find my cab. Can you, show me the direction?" And this guy had walked right past me. He came out of a black Jeep. He passed right by me, and then I felt something in my gut. So then
You gotta trust your intuition.
yep. So then the cop was like, "Oh, it's right across the street." So I turned back around and was walking inside the parking lot. There was a bunch of cars everywhere, but there was really nobody walking to their cars. And so I was walking to the elevator, and something told me to turn around. When I turned
Mm.
around, this guy was zooming towards me. And I don't know, I was praying because I knew
Oh my
I
gosh.
had a feeling something was going to happen. So I prayed, and as soon as I turned around, the guy froze and he ran the other way.
Wow.
I was like, "Thank you, God." I'm like,
Yeah, your angels. I mean, I often think about
mm-hmm,
um my angels and how hard they gotta work sometimes because I can be quite naive and I see the best in people. I'm like, oh, these people are so nice. And
oh.
then afterwards I'm like, girl, get a grip yourself. Girls, wake
Yeah.
up. Like you need to know your surroundings. Not everyone's
Mhm.
got the same intentions as you.
Yeah,
People
not
can look
everybody's got
nice.
mm-hmm,
My mum always told me people can look nice, sound nice, but if you have something in your tummy that says no,
mm-hmm.
listen to it because it's there
Yeah,
for a reason.
yeah, yeah. And it was crazy because he was just like running real fast towards me. So I don't know if he was gonna knock me on my head. I don't know what, but he was a little short little thing. He was a white guy. And I just turned
The
around.
audacity.
Yeah, and he just froze and just ran the other way around the corner. I was
That's
like,
crazy because it's only a second of difference between if you hadn't have turned around or not.
I know,
Because
yeah.
if you're caught off guard, anything could have happened. He could have had a weapon on him.
Yeah, exactly. Oh my gosh. I was just and then as I'm walking towards the elevator, some people was coming out. I was like, oh my gosh. I'm like, let me hurry up and get to this cab because I had to go upstairs to the second floor to catch the cab. And then that's where everybody
Wow,
was at, trying to wait for their cab.
that's
I'm like, I was like, never again. I said, I'm never going to Vegas again.
yeah, no,
I was like,
sketchy
no.
stuff.
Yeah, because I have a girlfriend that live out there, but she didn't want to go with me that day to hang out. So I was like,
You're out by yourself.
yep. Mm-hmm.
You're confident.
Yeah, I know. Because I'm like, listen, I didn't come all the way to New York to stay in the house and be bored. For that, I could have stayed home,
100%.
you
Yeah,
know?
that's like me. I'm like, I'll be okay. I want
Mm-hmm.
to have fun. I might be on an
Yeah.
adventure. I never know who I'm going to meet. I'm always like
Yep.
just on these random side quests, and then I have these beautiful interactions because, I take the opportunity. But then, yeah, you have to remind yourself, I still gotta have my wits because
I
I am
know.
a
Yeah.
female. I
Yeah.
am a woman, yeah.
Your work dives deeply into inner life and your self-reflection. Do you see music as a form of healing, exploration, or both?
Definitely both. And I think the exploration comes with the healing and um, it just, yeah, they both kind of complement each other. Often, as I said previously, that I do find a lot about myself in the creative process and about whatever is, drawn out of me. And I, yeah, explore that. And then I find that I'm able to heal through whatever I'm dealing with at the time because art and music, they're universal languages. And I think that, I mean, I'm sure you've had experience where you've heard a song and you can't understand the lyrics, but you feel like, oh,
Yeah.
this is getting to me, and that's because it's, raw and real when people are making
Yeah.
genuine art.
And then when you hear the
And
music, you're like, oh, wait, they talking about me. Because that's what the same way
yeah,
I feel.
yeah, and it's amazing that we're able to do that. Like listen to us. I've had people message me that I've never met before saying that, one of my songs helped them through this thing. And I'm like, wow, I'm singing for myself and my own healing. And then I'm out there also like affecting other people and my music is moving them and that's a bonus and such a beautiful reward to be able to connect
Hmm.
in such a unique way.
Yeah. So there's a side question. how many albums have you like sold in the past or recently?
So
Sold.
I've re released two albums
Mhm.
now, and then I don't even know how many in total. I probably should count because I've also got a lot of collaborations and solo projects as well, and just singles. So two albums in total. I think the last one had 11 songs, and the previous one had maybe 12. So I've got quite a few songs out there, and just like random collaborations and things like that too. Yeah.
So, because I know I saw your event where that
Mm.
crowd was just moving like crazy. I was like, you are famous over there in Australia, aren't you?
I mean, it was so amazing to see, yeah, almost 200 people turn up to my first show. And then,
Wow.
I mean, I think in rehearsals before people showed up, I forgot the lyrics to one of my songs and I was like, oh my gosh, this is going to be
Oh.
bad. But then I was fine. I think when I had the crowd's energy, it actually kind of just gave me this extra wind and I was almost like in a different, it was like, I don't know how to explain, the outer body experience where you don't feel like you're consciously it's like breathing, I just felt it came so naturally. And then I looked in the crowd and I saw someone was like mouthing my lyrics back to me. I'm like, oh my
Oh,
God, there's people
wow.
singing and know my lyrics already. That's so cool.
Yeah,
So yeah, that was a really, really beautiful event. And I played quite a few after that, but I think that was my most exciting event because it was my very first debut and it was such a good turnout.
nice. Okay. So, do how many events do you usually do in a month? Do you do a lot of events out there?
It'll be spaced out because depending on like I haven't done a tour yet, but I have performed my own shows and events usually for it might be like for a Halloween special or just I've supported other artists like the last show I played was for TDJ. She's a Canadian DJ. She was flown to Adelaide and I had a events manager reach out to me and ask for me to support. So they flew me out there, which was really cool, and
Oh,
I
nice.
got to see, a different crowd. Adelaide is a bit of a smaller city on like a few hours out of here,
Mhm.
but yeah, it was like really cool to be around different people and support such a cool artist. It would usually like be maybe once in a month or then a couple of times throughout the year, depending on people that have reached out to me asking me to support them, or if I'm working on another album release, launch, and show to promote my new releases. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So you say you've been to New York before, right?
Yes,
Have
like
you
three
ever
times now.
okay. Have you ever performed out here in New York?
No, I was going to last time I was there because I have friends. One of my um friends, DJ Cookie, shout out to her. She's an amazing person. She let me stay with her for a bit when I was there, but I got sick and it was also just snowing all the time. I've never seen so
Wow.
much snow in my life. It doesn't snow really in my country that much, only in the mountains.
Mm,
So I was just I was amazed to see such crazy amounts of snow. But
yeah.
yeah, she was running events and stuff, and I was working on music with her partner, who's also an amazing artist, Meeks. But it just didn't happen last year when I was there because just the weather and me being sick.
You
But I would
wasn't
really love to
prepared
play
for
shows
it.
there.
You wasn't prepared, right, for the weather.
Yeah, I wasn't prepared. No, it was so cold and
Yeah.
yeah, and then I got sick for like 2 weeks, but
Mm,
yeah, I was really hoping to play some shows there because the creative scene, I mean, I've been to a few events and venues and just everyone's energy. It's just, it's like networking and everyone's so supportive of one another. I've
yeah.
met such diverse and talented people. Like every second person you meet is like some amazing creative and
Mhm.
they're so like yeah, talented out there. Even just going into the park, like Madison Square Park or whatever, you just see just everyone's
Yeah.
like
Even at
bouncing
the
off each
train
other's energy, and
stations.
it's such a community feeling.
Yeah, if you go in the train
Yeah,
stations,
and
yeah, you're performing over there
that's
too.
why I keep that's why I keep coming back to New York because there's just something so special about it. It just feels
Yeah.
like it's like a family or something,
Mm.
and it's so beautiful to just walk into a park and feel like, oh. I've met a friend, but I feel like they already known me for so long just because of how welcoming you all are.
Yeah.
So I really appreciate New York and it's so inspiring there. And I love the people.
Yeah. When are you coming back?
Oh, I mean, hopefully flights get cheap again because whatever's
Um,
going on with this oil situation, but I would love to go back. It would be cool to come back again one last time this year before my visa expires in August. That's
uh,
when my visa expires because it's like called an ESTA, I think. With Australia, you get 2 years of travel time, but I think you can just apply again.
uh,
It's pretty easy for Australians to come there. I think it's not too
oh,
bad.
nice. Okay. All right. So let me know whenever you come back. Whenever you come down, just let me know.
Yeah, I would love to hopefully play a show there. That would be really cool. Definitely, yeah,
Yeah.
get a community together of people and create something.
So how do you maintain cohesion in your music while exploring such a wide range of styles?
Um, I think for me, it has to make sense with the lyrics, and I'm careful in how I position the songs on my album and make sure there's like a sort of flow between them, almost like waves kind of thing. Like I don't want it to just be like, oh my God, what the heck is this random song on this album? But it's sort of for me, it's just like about a feeling like, okay, this does make sense for this song to be here because of the lyrics. It ties into the previous song, and then the beat might build up slower before it gets too different from the previous one. So I try and make sure that I'm creating balance, but in in that yin and yang way or something, where you have, variety, but without them complementing each other, but not competing with one another. So I think it sort of is based off that kind of energy. Yeah.
Okay. Is there a recurring emotion or theme you find yourself returning to in your work?
Hmm. I think a lot of the time it's acceptance, community, connection. Connection is a big one. I mean, some songs I'm working on at the moment, they're unreleased, but I've definitely keep often during a period of time of my work, if I'm, just freestyling, a lot of the same sort of subjects usually come up in that period. And at the moment, it's just about connection. And I think with everything going on in the world and technology and social media, which are an amazing things, and they can be really incredible, like as we're using it now, but I think it also can take away from people connecting with one another. We get caught up in what's going on in the news, like all this technology and AI, what's real, what's not. And so
Yeah.
I think it's what I've been making music about is coming back to each other, coming back to community, going back to God and trusting Him and connecting with one another again, humanizing one another. And I think that's really important to remember so that we don't get so pulled away from reality and caught up in all the chaos.
Yeah. So when listeners say they see themselves in your music, how does that impact you as an artist?
Oh, it's really moving. And I'm always curious on how they interpret it because also I think that I mean, someone can take their own meaning out of lyrics or something you've written as well, which is really cool because that means it's, they're getting something out of it that not I might have not have gotten out of it. So it adds even more value to my art. But then I realized that some people don't even listen to lyrics. I mean, I had a friend of mine say like, "Oh, this song's like so happy. I love it." I was like, "Have you listened to the lyrics?" He's like, "No, I don't really care." I was like, you're
Yeah.
actually listening to music and you don't even know what you're consuming. That's crazy to me.
He's just going off the beat.
Yeah, I mean, Hey Ya by Outkast is a perfect example. Everyone's like
Oh
singing to
yeah.
this song and it's such, impactful lyrics, but I think that's a really cool and interesting way to do art as well, to have that contrast.
Mhm. Yeah. So sometimes you get so caught up in the beat and not even listening to what the lyrics are saying.
And I think that's important for a lot of people to also pay attention to what they're consuming because sometimes you might, not even realize the subliminal messaging that might be in some music,
Yeah.
and that can impact your mind.
That's true. See, my music shows a fearless willingness to evolve. What directions are you excited to explore next?
Mm, I think I'm definitely excited to lean more into this sort of, I mean, not necessarily the genre that I'm doing, but the messages that I do. I want my messages to have more political and community based lyricism that actually is talking about things that matter. So I'm really excited to use my voice to help um, inspire change and inspire connection in others rather than just, talking about my feelings or being sad or being like happy or whatever I've talked about previously, which was mostly to do with my own inner, world and my things that I was going through a processing. And now I'm really excited to move on to something that evokes inspiration and change and connection in others.
Are there any collaborations, artists or producers you would like to connect with?
As I said, I've been working with this American artist. We've released one song previously called Scars, and he's really talented. And we've got some more music that we're working on behind the scenes. But like big dreams, like if I had to pick anyone, the last 6 months I've been listening to a lot of Kid Cudi. I mean, his
Oh,
music really, really inspires me. I think he's one of a few artists that are talking about real stuff, and I really appreciate his lyricism and just soundtrack to my life is amazing, and the prayer and just I feel like he's just really authentic in his music expression, and I really appreciate and admire artists, especially in big roles where they're seen by so many people and can be, you know, sort of peer pressured and um, made to be a certain type of way in like Hollywood and stuff.
mhm.
But they're still talking about things that really matter and other people might be afraid to talk about. And I really admire that a lot.
Okay, maybe one day you'll get to meet him.
Maybe.
Right? Or do a collab with him. That'll be
Yeah.
nice.
Anything's impossible. Anything's
Right?
possible in America. I mean, like, even in New York, I've met the most random people and be like, this is
Yeah.
just normal for you guys. This is
Mhm.
where all the celebrities are.
Yeah, the world's small, but trust me, you never know who you
Yeah,
could meet when you come
exactly.
out here. So, what do you hope listeners take away after hearing your music for the first time?
Um, I just hope they feel something or acknowledge some feelings maybe that then they're usually maybe avoiding. I think a lot of time we get distract ourselves with a lot of things, and I hope my music is an invitation to really sit with your emotions and ask yourself like what's going on, what am I avoiding in my body, because everything is a distraction to run away from feelings because feelings are uncomfortable, and people always say like, oh, it's not manly to cry. You're not strong if you feel emotions. But I think feeling and expressing emotions is one of the strongest things you can do. So I just hope that people, yeah, can get some kind of healing or just even just be in their feels, just be
Yeah.
present and feel, yeah.
Okay. All right. So this is it for tonight. Thank you so much for sharing your story, Sora, with us all the way from Australia, Melbourne. So where can we find your music?
Spotify, iTunes, Apple Music, YouTube, everywhere. It'll just be Sora Music online if you're just Googling it, but Sora, look up Unbodied or look up Mirrors in My Bedrooms or any of my new releases like Scars or Waves. And I have Instagram, which is Sora.x.
Okay.
Thank you so much as well to you, Lady D. It was such a pleasure to be in your presence and to be interviewed by you, and appreciate the opportunity.
Yes, you're welcome. Thank you so much for joining Her Mic, Her Rules. So that's it for today, guys. Listen to Sora's music. I'm gonna be putting up some of her music and her videos. So check that out. Follow her on Instagram. And this has been your girl, Lady D. Her Mic, Her Rules. Till next time.